Oh, here, Bob. Bob, right here's the school. Here.
1 o'clock.
Here, Bob. This is 1 o'clock. Let's all turn our phones off.
Thank you.
I use absolutely everything.
Yeah, of the shade. Okay, thanks.
The city is full of lights. Okay, I'm gonna turn my phone off. Let's all turn our phones off.
We gotta wait for that.
And then before you didn't do the first 20, start with the next one.
Before we go, you go over.
I'll go over. You can always call me and I'll take it.
I'll put you on speaker.
Okay, so everybody, you're here now. So let me introduce our 4th of July annual concert with Mary Hurlbut on voice and Andrew Bolotowski on flute and pipe.
Thank you.
And turn off your cell phone.
Please.
And then let's enjoy ourselves.
Okay. Every year we've been doing this concert, I don't know, what, 5, 6, 7 years, something like that.
Yeah.
And I change it every year, ever so slightly. I keep things from the past, we add new pieces, we dispense with old pieces, we sometimes bring the old pieces back. And this year, actually, thanks to an inspiration from Mary Hurlbut here, she came up with the idea that, you know, Donald Trump seems to cause things. So we have a whole section involving Donald Trump, so towards the end, and so the musical response to Donald Trump. But I'll get to that later. Now, the first piece on the program, Anadolia, is a solo flute piece by Stephen Foster. And Stephen Foster was the man who wrote these terribly racist songs, which at the time were actually fairly typical of American culture. That was typical. They had songs like this all over the place. Everybody wrote them. And he wanted to make money, and he wrote them too. He was from Pennsylvania. He never was from Kentucky or the Deep South. And the thing is that every year he sort of comes up as a candidate for this program, and every year I reject him. But this year, a thing came up where we were fighting for our lives in terms of keeping a business that was going to serve liquor in the basement of our building. So I began thinking about all the people who stagger around here on the weekends from NYU or are dead drunk. And the last 4 or 5 years of Stephen Foster's life, he lived on the Bowery. He actually lived on the Bowery, and he lived in a flophouse hotel. And he died in this flophouse hotel. I was trying to find the actual number of where he was on the Bowery, but I haven't been able to find that yet. Okay, so he wrote a collection called The Social Orchestra, which was his arrangements for a little dance band, equivalent dance band, flute, violin, piano, cello, play of all of his tunes. And they're very direct arrangements, but in that thing he has a one-page solo piece called Anadolia. There it is. And so I'm going to play it. This time he gets in there in honor of the fact that he died a hopeless drunk.
On the Bowery.
On the Bowery, exactly. Our neighbor. Okay, that's the only reason. Right over there. Right over there, exactly. Francis Hopkinson. And you see his dates and everything else. And why is he important? Well, his piece is called My Love Is Gone to Sea. And Francis Hopkinson was one of the signers of the Declaration of Independence. And he also called himself the first native-born composer to write a collection of art songs, of which My Love Is Gone to Sea is one of them. He also was the first Secretary of the Navy. And the only other thing I can think about him, or what I can find about him, of course he had his signature, it wasn't as big as whoever it was who wrote it, John Hancock, but his signature was there nonetheless, was that, I think it was John Adams, in writing to his wife about Francis Hopkinson, said he was a little man. Of course, John Adams himself was a little man, but of course he meant that he was a really, really little man, like under 5 feet. And he had a head shaped like an egg. Okay, so that's what I know about Francis Hopkinson. And this very charming piece, as a matter of fact, once I make sure that I have it lashed down against the winds and the tides of this area. Here we go. My love is gone to sea. Now we're going to do Copland's most famous piece, which is known as Appalachian Spring, but of course is the Shaker tune, Simple Gifts. And the Shakers were a rather famous religious sect. There were a lot of sects, religious sects, in the United States in the early 19th century. They were one of them. They didn't believe in sex at all. No sex. And supposedly everybody would go to heaven if you didn't practice sex, but instead they would have evenings that would go on into the dawn where they would dance, and they would dance into this sort of fevered frenzy and then collapse. That's how they handled their sexual frustration, I guess, whatever it was. That's why I think why they were referred to as the Shakers. And of course one of their tunes is Simple Gifts, exactly, which Aaron Copland used for Appalachian Spring, a wonderful dance by Martha Graham, as a matter of fact. okay. All I have to do is mind my P's and Q's and my sharps and flats, and I'll be okay. Okay, now we're going to do Yankee Doodle. And the origins, Yankee Doodle is the great patriotic tune that we all know and love and that we're all forced to learn in grade school, right? All of us know, and of course it has a very dirty meaning to it, of course, which was explained to me by the modern composer Michael Saul, which is yank your doodle. It's right there, okay? But all school children learn this, okay, about yank your doodle. Keep it up, okay? Mind your manners, and with the girls be handy, okay? I mean, it's all laid out for you like that, okay? But anyhow, we learn it anyhow. So there we go. Now the first version, which is probably, although the version I'm using is printed around 1812 or thereabouts, it really dates from much earlier, and this is the original version played on Fife. I didn't bring a Fife with me because, frankly, the tuning instruments rolling around and we're outdoors, and I just like to have my hands on, whoops, whatever it is. Oh, jeez. Well, that solves that problem. Okay.
So much for that song.
Thank you. Somebody help. Somebody help. A good Samaritan.
Okay, you'll hold on to it. Great. Thanks.
Wait.
Okay.
Mary, I have a couple of clips here.
Okay.
It might be better.
It's okay. She's good. She's got two hands. Wonderful. Okay. Let me play Yankee Doodle in its original form before we all blow away. Okay? Here we go. Here we go. This is the original Yankee Doodle from Riley's Flute Melodies. Okay. Now you get the idea. Thank you. It has a sort of, it has a sardonic quality to it. Pick that up right away. Now we do a version that appeared, great, thank you, that appeared in a play that was produced in Philadelphia in 1767. I think you have the title of the play there. Actually, Mary and I were in a performance connected to Bloomsday, which they have in Philadelphia every year on June 16th, exactly, and it was held in this very theater. The actual production of this play was never done. literally seconds before it was supposed to be produced, which included Yankee Doodle, it was shut down by British censors. That was it. So it never happened. But they do have the play, and they do have the tunes that were used. It was essentially a ballad opera, which means popular tunes were used with all sorts of other lyrics. So here we go. This is Yankee Doodle from this play production, The Disappointment of the Force of Credulity. Okay.
Oh, how joyful I shall be when I get the money. I will bring it all to thee, all my diddling honey. Yankee Doodle, keep it up, Yankee Doodle dandy. Mind the music and the step and with the girls be handy. Yankee Doodle, keep it up, Yankee Doodle dandy. Mind the music and the steps and with the girls be handy. Oh, how joyful I shall be when I get the money. I will bring it all to thee, all my diddling honey. Yankee Doodle, keep it up, Yankee Doodle dandy. Mind the music and the step and with the girls be handy. Yankee Doodle, keep it up, Yankee Doodle dandy. Mind the music and the steps and with the girls be handy.
And now we're going to do the version that we all know, that we went to school with. Just do that. And this is the Yankee Doodle that we all got stuck with in school, okay? It's chock full of patriotism and everything else. Okay, this is where it all ends up. An example of how humankind can take everything good and decent and wonderful and ruin it. Okay. And make it something for good, you see, which is, well, anyhow. Okay, here we go. This is Yankee Doodle as we all know it.
Oh, they look me down to the camp along with the Captain Gordon. And there we saw the men and boys with the Captain Gordon. Yankee Doodle, keep it up, oh Yankee Doodle dandy. Mind the music and the steps and the girls be handy. And there was Captain Washington upon his smoking stand, giving orders to his men, I guess there was a million. Yankee Doodle, keep it up, oh Yankee Doodle dandy. Mind the music and the steps and the girls be handy.
Well, we've just dispensed with Yankee Doodle. Okay. Now I'm going to hand you this, and I'll hand you this, as a matter of fact. Now what we do is we reduce the pain and suffering of the actual American Revolution to a series of short solo flute pieces. So we'll start with General Washington's March. Again, this comes from Riley's Flute Melodies, I believe. You should have that in the program. Exactly. Okay, so I don't know the author of it. It's just found in this collection. So that will represent all the revolutionary forces. Okay, and now what we'll do is we'll have against General Washington, we have King George III's March. This is actually a remarkably cultivated little piece. King George III's March. Now we have a war dance, which I will just say represents the actual fighting. How's that? Okay. All that fighting, lasting all those years, I made it easy for you guys. Okay. Now we have, this is the British style. This is a classical retreat, which was taught to all the fifers in the British Army. And I love the British. They can take a defeat and turn it into a victory. You know, it's marvelous what they can do. You know, they can fight. What is it? Several thousand Zulu warriors who have spears and they have repeating rifles, and they still lose, the British, and they can turn it into a victory. You see, that's good. And so you're going to listen to this retreat, and you're going to say, "This is a retreat. It's so pleasant sounding." Okay, here we go. This is the retreat, the British retreat. Wonderful. It sounds like you just got on the train to Jones Beach, for instance. It has that kind of quality. Very sunny. Okay, now the big surrender in Yorktown. Okay, Washington meets with Cornwallis, except Cornwallis didn't meet with Washington. He had a bad case of diarrhea. Okay, so he didn't come. Instead, he sent an aide. And the first thing out of George Washington's mouth, as he's going to accept the surrender of the British forces, was he said, "Where are my slaves? I want them back." That's the first thing the father of our country said. Okay? And the aide said to Washington, "Sir," this is in the aide's memoirs, "Sir, I gave my word as an English gentleman that these men who fought on our side would be free, and so they are, and they're on a boat going to Newfoundland right now. So that's that. You can't get them. That's it." So I guess grumbling, Washington accepted the surrender. Now, when the British forces came in to do a ceremonial turning over of arms, they had a band playing, and what the band played was a tune called "A World Upside Down." And that's what we're going to play now. That was to sort of show British contempt for the colonials.
If buttercups paused after the feast, if folks were on land, churches unseen, if ponies would mankind, if grass ate the cows, and cats would be chasing holes and a mouse, if moms sold their babies to the gypsies for half a crown, if summer were spring and the other way round, then all the world would be upside down.
Okay, now I think we get up to the trumpet section. Is that correct?
Yeah, sure.
Yes. Okay. Now this was Mary's idea, and it's a wonderful idea. You know, of course, Trump has made many pronouncements on lots of things, and I think if you have just even the slightest bit of common sense, you'll say, "What?" Just at least that. Okay, at least you'll say that. What? Okay. So one of his things is he's very much against immigrants. And I have been talking to Mary about this, that a number of years ago, when the Hirshhorn Museum opened in Washington, its first exhibit was called The Golden Door. And what it was famous American artists. Famous, you know, they represented American art. And they were all foreign born, all of them. Including, by the way, my father, by the way. He liked to tell the story about how when he came to the United States, he was part of a group that came here. They had quotas on every conceivable group. And so he came, his boat apparently came in too soon, crossing the line, the 2 or 3 mile territorial line, and so they were technically part of the previous year. So the quota had already been filled of people from Russia. And so there were all sorts of pronouncements. Send them back. They're going to ruin our standard of living, and so on and so forth. And then ultimately, and so my father never went to whatever that island was. He sat on a boat in New York Harbor for about 3 months while they were trying to decide what to do with him and all the people on the boat with him. Finally, they let him off the boat, and that was that. Okay? My father used to wink and say, "As you see, I lowered the standard of living." And, anyhow, among other things, I don't want to brag, but among other things, there's a painting of his that's part of the art collection of the Federal Reserve, for God's sakes. Another painting of him which is in the collection of the Smithsonian. I mean, you know, that ought to do it. But he'd like to say, I lowered the standard of living. So the first piece we're going to do is by Rudolf Frimmel, who was born in Czechoslovakia. He was born in Prague. And he was very famous, and he wrote different little operettas, almost like musicals. One was called Rosemarie. And this is a tune called The Indian Love Call. It was made famous, if you want to go to old films, with Jeanette MacDonald and Nelson Eddy. Nelson Eddy plays a Canadian Mountie, and Jeanette MacDonald plays his sweetheart. And they sing this song, and again, I'm going to backtrack to another personal story, I'm sorry, but this was my debut, no, it wasn't really my debut, but close to it enough, of being on stage. I was in the Cub Scouts, and I was assigned the role of being Charlie Chaplin. And we had to get a bowler hat for me, which we couldn't get, so my mother made me one out of paper mache over a mold of a Pyrex bowl. Except it wouldn't come out, it wouldn't dry, so she cooked it in the oven for the day. Had a wonderful smell, and she painted it, and that's what I wore. Now, my job was to come out on stage, and I was going to be chased as Nelson Eddy and Jeanette MacDonald. One of my friends, Jeff Otis, who was playing the part of Nelson Eddy, were singing this tune, and I was going to be chased off stage by this other kid who was in my Cub Scout pack named Billy Ludicky. Except Billy Ludicky got stage fright. He froze. So he couldn't go out on stage to chase me off the stage. So I had to vamp for about 10 minutes, which is a long time for a 9-year-old kid to come up with things. Okay, that was it. So that was my debut. And now we're going to play this tune, Indian Love Call, is that correct? Indian Love Call by Rudolf Frimmel from Czechoslovakia. And of course, this is sort of one of the tunes of what we could say is from the American Songbook, literally the American Songbook. And I play Jeanette MacDonald's part, and in this case, Mary is playing Nelson Eddy's part, just for convenience sake. Okay, here we go. Okay. So should we send him back? Okay, now. Let's see. Yes, I think you better. Okay. Now. Right. Okay, now. Next one is Vernon Duke. And man, look at his background, Vernon Duke. Okay, his real name was Vladimir Dukelski. And he claimed all sorts of background. He was born in Minsk, but he was born in Minsk because his mother happened to be in a train station. Okay, that was it. But he claimed all sorts of other things, that he was part Georgian, part Ukrainian, and even part Spanish. He did very well as a popular writer as Vernon Duke, and he also wrote serious, rather difficult contemporary music as Vladimir Dukelski. He also is famous for his ongoing argument with Igor Stravinsky. And he wrote an attack on Stravinsky, and Stravinsky wrote a counterattack on Vernon Duke, the title of which was What to Do About VD. Okay. So you can see what these guys were like. Okay. Anyhow, we are going to do Autumn in New York, which he wrote both the words and the music. And the realization in this case is completely Mary's. Okay.
It's time to end my lonely holiday, and you go on through a hasty farewell. Prepare for my share of adventures and battles here on the 27th floor, looking down on the city I hate seems so inviting. Autumn in New York stands the thrill of first nighting. Glittering crowds in shimmering clouds in canyons of steel.
Okay, now, this is Diamond's our girl's best friend. Yes, and Julie Stein was Russian Jewish origin, but he was born in London. Came to the United States as a little boy. Okay. We love this tune. I love what Mary has done to it, so to speak, what I'm going to be playing. And it's wonderful to hear all the different versions of it from the past. The Marilyn Monroe version is really quite remarkable. It really is. I mean, if you just set aside that it's Marilyn Monroe and just listen to what she does and how she does it, it's really something. And then also Carol Channing did it too, and she's just as wonderful. So it works in all different ways. And it's a remarkably cynical lyric, but okay. Yeah, by commercialism. Exactly. Okay.
Glad to die for love. They unite in fighting duels. But I think a man who lives and gives expense and may be quite continental, but diamonds are a girl's best friend. A kiss may be grand, but it's always fair to rattle on your humble flat, or help you at the automat. Men grow cold as squirrels grow old, and we all lose our charms in the end. But square, cut, or pear-shaped, these rocks won't change their shape. Diamonds are a girl's best friend. I've heard of fair had a strictly platonic, but diamonds are a girl's best friend. And I think the fairs that you must keep Masonic are the better bets. If little pets get big baguettes, time rolls on and youth is gone, and you can't straighten up when you bend. But stiff back or stiff knees, you scan straight at stiff knees. Diamonds are a girl's best friend.
Okay, the last of our answers to Donald Trump is Irving Berlin, or I believe it was an Isaiah Berlin, and he was born in essentially what was Siberia, which is basically where they sent all Russian Jewish people because they didn't want them polluting either Moscow or St. Petersburg. So they sent them about as far away and as cold away a place as possible. Okay, and then comes Irving Berlin. And this song, frankly, should be our national anthem, in my opinion, really, in terms of the words and the sentiment and everything else. It's really a very beautiful song. Even if it was originally written for a musical, it doesn't matter.
When the storm clouds gather all across the sea, let us swear allegiance to a land that's free. Let us all be grateful for a land so fair, as we raise our voices in a solemn prayer. God bless America, life and beside and guide through the night with the light of God. On the mountains, through the prairies, through the ocean, white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet
Mary wrote my piece.
Oh, that was
She
good.
wrote the last,
Applaud the obligato.
the last
so
week. She wrote
beautiful.
all the flute obligato.
All the ones
All the ones, the one we're not playing, the John Philip Sousa in the middle of the diamonds or a girl's best friend. That's her
Oh, that was
concoction.
hers too.
That's hers too. Yeah. Yes.
Oh, but I love this one. That's really
His
special.
stuff is very workable. That's
Very
why
brilliant.
he lasts. You can
That's why he's
tell
still
that
around.
They're just incredibly effective and very simple, but you can add loads of things to them, and they still work. They keep their integrity. So.
Okay, we're now closing in on the end. And what we're going to do is a piece called Anacreon in Heaven, which is the basis of the Star-Spangled Banner. Francis Scott Key did not write the music to the Star-Spangled Banner. It essentially came from Anacreon in Heaven. And you have my part that's where I wrote the notes as to who actually wrote the music. It's in there somewhere. He's sort of an interesting guy. He was an English organist who actually is famous because he collected music by Johann Sebastian Bach before anybody knew who Johann Sebastian Bach was. And he collected his music, this gentleman. No, you think it's Sir Henry Bishop. He wrote Anadolia, the Gentle Lark. That's a different piece in Ireland. Okay, but in any case, Anacreon in Heaven was for the Anacreontic Society, which was a drinking club. Except English drinking clubs were a little bit different. They were a little more cultivated. For instance, when Franz Joseph Haydn, the father of the symphony, came to London to do a concert of his music, he was hosted by the Anacreontic Society. They paid for his lodging. They actually hired an orchestra to play his music. So there was a lot more to this group than just drinking. And the song, the words are what they are, and here we have it. I'm going to just try to find exactly where we have these. Okay, the words are by Ralph Tomlinson, but the music was written by someone named John Stafford Smith. There you go. From 1750 to 1836. He lived a long time, and apparently he died because he got a grape pit stuck in his throat. It wasn't through old age. Okay, so there you have it. Now, this is Anacreon in Heaven, and then we're going to get to what you're all reading. I can feel it. Here we go. First Anacreon in Heaven.
Anacreon in Heaven, we reside in the is on the holy sand of the that inspire and patron when this land are alive from the jolly old green. We speed on the floor, long may keep you, I'll lend you my name and inspire you to and beside islands what you like me to entwine the maternal Venus with the fastest fine.
Okay, now we do.
What Henry do when
Henry can do lots of things. We're good. I'm going to give you a lead in. I'm going to give you a lead in so you'll know what pitches to sing. It'll help you. Okay. Henry is wonderful to have as Uncle Sam.
Should he stand by you?
Uncle Schmoyle. If he wants to, he can be in back of me.
Stand right in back of him.
We all have to stand up. We have to stand.
Oh, we all have to stand anyway.
We all have to stand anyhow. Exactly. Okay. Because we're all country people, so I got you all here to sing the national anthem. Yeah, that's something. That's like the Russians saying, getting a rabbit to light matches. Okay. Okay, let me give you an introduction, okay? I'm going to give you an introduction so you'll understand where your pitches are, okay? Let me just do that first. forgot to mention Kate Smith. What a shame. Okay, that's a shame. That's right.
You don't get paid for the gig. Yeah. Very
Yeah,
good.
we're going to what time is it now?
10 to 2.
10 to 2, okay. So we need to open up the other studio. Now Kevin is going to come outside. Harry stays inside with Rebecca. And Elizabeth, you want to go inside? And Christoph inside. Oh, you like that? Yeah. But we're going to go in the... Is it going to be really bad for you?
We're going to fly right here.
No, we're going to go in the stage. Yeah, so we'll start up drawing a few minutes after 2. Now who's going to unlock the door?
You want me to?
I can give you the key.
Do you want to write down? How many people come?
You're just going to do the regular thing and don't take any breaks. You're going to have 4 models. The first 2 work for 10. The first 4 work 10 minutes. 2 leave, 2 more come on.
Okay, so I just.
And you just keep rotating until you
So
get.
every 10 minutes. Then.
You have 2 leave and 2 stay on.
Okay.
But then when you get to the 20, whoever does the 20, maybe only 2 do the 20.
Okay.
And then start with the other one.
Okay.
Okay, so Kevin, you go back and put in your sense and get back out. Uncle Sam, there are going to be 4 in there. Do you want to stay outside or do you want to go inside?
Whichever you Yes.
Don't want to breathe. Okay, so let's go inside. Christoph and Harry and then the other one stay inside or draw a French tree. For Chuck, I need Chuck to go.
So they, I'll collect like.
Whatever you want.
Okay. When is it end?
Huh? At 5 o'clock. We're coming in about 4.
Okay.